Okay, James, Cole, are you there?
Hello, yes.
Excellent. Do you want to kick us off, James?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Steve.
Hi, James.
Good to see you. I guess, first of all, what's the latest news with the injuries?
Yeah, all the boys are pretty good, apart from Finn. So everyone's coming through and all available for selection.
What's the prognosis with Finn Russell then?
Oh, look, I think he's out of the boot. He's doing bits and pieces. So again, he's more or less with a medic. So we'll just keep assessing him as we go along.
He'll stay out there. There's still a hope he could be fit for maybe the third test.
Yeah, look, at the minute he's still here, and at the end of the day, if he's here, then hopefully he'll come available at some point for us.
And how's Dan Bigger?
Yeah, he's good. He was running around the other day. He's been kicking. Yeah, he's all good.
And Liam Williams, his HIA, is he on track?
Yeah, he's on track to be available. So again, I think it's his last bit today. So then he'll be available. We believe he'll be available as well.
And Henshaw came through the Stormers game okay?
Yeah, no ill effects from that. He come through. It's really good to have him back and performing. So yeah, it's really pleasing to have a healthy squad going into the first test.
Yeah, it's a good crop to be able to pick from, isn't it? How tough is this selection going to be? How big decisions are you going to have to make?
Oh, look, I think there's going to be massive decisions. There's going to be a lot of, well, you could say unlucky players, but they represent the Lions. And I think that we had initial selection meeting last night, which was a long one, in fairness, just like covering all bases. A lot of people have put their hands up. So, yeah, it's a great place for us as coaches to be. And there'll be probably bits of disappointment, but I believe within this squad, there's such a tight connection that everyone will be geared up to winning that first test, whether you're in the 23 or not.
And how did that selection meeting go? Were you largely agreeing on names? Did you narrow it down to a certain number?
It was probably a good hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer talking. So it was a good initial one, and we were coming clearer and clearer as we went along, and we'll confirm that up, and then Gats will announce at an appropriate time. But yeah, it was one of the toughest things I've been involved in, because so many people have put their hands up in terms of putting their best foot forward.
When will the players find out?
Oh, look, that's up to Gats. We'll just probably confirm things up, or probably today or tomorrow. But then it'll be up to Gats and around when he feels that's appropriate.
And ALUN Wyn-Jones, half an hour off the bench against the Stormers since injuring his shoulder. Is that enough rugby for him to come in for the first test?
Yeah, I believe so. I think Al, historically, he does some pretty special things, and I think he coming back from the autumn of the Six Nations last year, not off the back of a lot of rugby. Look, he's fit, he's ready to go. And I think, like, it was only 3 weeks ago, you see the training he's been doing. He keeps himself in absolutely great shape, so there'd be no issues there.
With a player like him and maybe some other players, do you go on their pedigree, on their test pedigree and their track record as much as the form on this tour?
Yeah, look, I think his form coming into it, like Six Nations was really pleasing, and he's got unbelievable experience. His leadership qualities are outstanding as well. So he was tour captain at the start. So yeah, there'd be no issues in round Al.
And finally, for me, is he indicated that he's happy with his fitness?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You've got to see him walk around, the energy he brings, and in training, and how he's around the environment. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, Steve. It's Andrew McKenna from TalkSport. You just mentioned there that about selection being tough. It should be tough, though, shouldn't it? You've got 37 of the best of the Northern Hemisphere players. It's almost a case that every single player should be able to stake a claim, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But I think probably maybe in other tours, maybe people have played themselves out of the Test Match 23, whereas I think, like, all our boys have really put their hands up. And I think in around performances, the way they train in and the way they're around the group, I think everyone has. And I think, like, even just speaking to Gats in around how difficult it was, because like obviously experiences he's gone on previous tours. But that's where you wanted to be. Like you said, it's you want to pick from a healthy group, and a group that is ultimately everyone's putting their hand up for that selection, because I think that shows around the depth of the squad, and over 3 tests, probably people will come in and out of the team, and we're going to need that depth right throughout the series.
When the Bulls game was called off a couple of weeks ago, there was talk about it maybe being rearranged. Looking at the calendar, that probably would have meant playing tomorrow night, I would guess, because that was the only available spot. Can you maybe speak about how much of an advantage it is not to have a midweek game going into the first test, that you can concentrate solely 5 days all about next Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be nice as coaches and for the players, I think, to get a routine and get some really good training, because like the midweek, it was great experience for me, but there's a lot of just topping up the detail and actually just getting a proper week over the last 2 or 3 weeks. You haven't done lots of coaching, lots of training work, so that's going to be really, really pleasing for us not to have that midweek game. Everyone's had plenty of rugby as well, so it's just focusing more on us now and having a real good prep weekend leading into the first test.
And the South Africa A game showed up a couple of work-ons. I've heard a couple of former players, though, say that they felt all of those work-ons were relatively straightforward and can be put right in a couple of sessions. Do you feel that that's happening?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like the tour. You come together. You got 2 weeks before Japan, then you leave. Then you got midweek games. So I think it's constantly building. You can't give all the information out. You can't sort of get everything right straight away. So as the games are going along, there's little things we need to tidy up. And from South Africa A, we wanted to tidy up little bits and pieces, and it's a constant work in progress. And hopefully we'll be right and ready to go on Saturday.
Thank you, Steve.
No problem.
Steve, hi, it's Michael Corcoran here. I'm just wondering, in a 3-test series against a team like South Africa, the importance, and can you talk about the importance and significance of the opening match this coming weekend?
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously the opening match is massive, and you get that feeling within the group now how big it is, and you all want to get off on the front foot and hopefully take that lead in around the series. So we know how big it is, and we know how important the start is of a series to hopefully get out in front.
And can you talk about the competitive nature of everybody within the squad, how everybody's pushing each other? Because as Andrew said there, I mean, you've got the best of the Northern Hemisphere there, people who are used to starting, and everybody wants a starting shirt. Yeah,
look, I think it's real positive for us, and I think the connection within the group, I think like people will park the disappointment, and if it's the opposition plays or whatever it is, they'll be helping their mate out. You see that connection, and I think the truest test is now in around the first test. But I believe that sort of competition is only holding us in a real good spot going forward, and at some point probably throughout the season, like there'll be changes, there'll be injuries, so we've got to be ready. And I think the important thing is we believe as a collective we're really tight, and and I think that's going to come out in force in around this week, and especially when there's disappointment, parking that and just helping everyone get prepared. And you've seen that right throughout the tour, and I believe that will continue.
And can you talk about the challenge that you're expecting from South Africa? Do you have to, in one respect, almost expect the unexpected, given the fact that they tend to be that little bit unpredictable at times? Yeah, look, I think there's the element of historical, how they've been over I know there's not a lot of rugby since the World Cup, but then you look at the A game, you look at the Georgia game, you look at the Bulls game, there's definitely things that are consistent from the World Cup. But then, like I said, I think that they're a super talented group as well, and you have to expect the unexpected. And you look at something could happen around Colby, you've got Mapimpi to come back in, look at the back line, anything could happen, and you've got like big forward pack. So as much as there's that real brutality in around the way South Africa want to play, they've got talented group across the page, and there could be something, a little bit of variety to pop in at some point. And just a final question from me. You're talking about the competitiveness amongst the group of players, but from a coaching perspective, I mean, this must be one of the biggest challenges as a group that you've ever faced. Yeah, it is. It's look, it's exciting, it's nervy at the same time, and like at the end of the day, in around Lions tours is definitive of winning series, so we know how big this is, we know how much it means to players, supporters, everyone back home, and we will be doing our best in around preparing the group to get on the front foot on Saturday. And
like I said, it's for me personally, it's massive. Being involved in a test series like this is huge, and yeah, we just want to come up with the right end of it.
Thanks very much.
Hi Steve, Will from the Mail here. How's it going?
Hi, no, very good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, just on an admin point to check, have you finished your selection now from your perspective, or is there still calls to make over the next few days?
Yeah, look, I think it's just confirming. Like we said, we had a fairly well, it was really robust, and at the end of the day, the time flew by. I know we probably over an hour and a half, just under 2 hours. It just flew by and around the selection and talking about it. So there's probably 1 or 2 things to confirm up, but the majority is probably done.
Okay, cool. And just one more on Alan Wynne as well. Obviously, you were his head coach at the Ospreys for a number of years. What do you remember of those days about him as a guy off the field and also on it? I mean, he's been like iconic player for a number of years now, hasn't he? But where he's grown into this sort of leadership role with Wales and the Lions is pretty extraordinary. Oh
yeah, look, it's like obviously playing with him, coaching him. Yeah, I feel really privileged to have that. Like, and he was the captain the whole time. I was the head coach. Like, outstanding. The way he's on the field, the standards he drives, the intensity he drives in training is unbelievable. Then away from the training environment, you only got to see through having an injury like that against Japan. I think 99% of people ain't coming back, and probably may have given up at that point of injury. But I think that tells its own story of Alan Wynne as a person, as a professional athlete. He just never gives up, and not only never giving up, but actually the professional detail that goes into it, the recovery process, the rehab, pre-ab. Yeah, probably I haven't seen anyone like him in around being that professional, and the lengths he takes it to is pretty unique, I think.
Not to preempt your selection, but if he is involved, he'll be the first professional era Lion to play 10 test matches. Pretty ridiculous, isn't it? I think the last one was Graham Price in the 70s and 80s, so that's a decent achievement for him to tick off too.
Oh my God, yeah, unbelievable achievement. And I think, like, when we're speaking about his professionalism on and off the field, I think you only get to achieve something like that is not only playing well, but how you look after yourself and how, like, even just mentally keep driving yourself on tour after tour, international after international. I think it's special achievement, but you've only got to work with him for like a couple of days, and it comes out in force and around how he is and how driven he is to perform and get the team on the same page.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem.
Steve Jones here.
Hi, Steve.
Can you just explain how easy or how difficult it is to form a defensive plan to absorb Faf de Klerk?
Yeah, look, I think it's, you're obviously, like, I think got asked there's that unique nature. There is that off the cuff stuff, and you look at Faf in round his kicking game. He can run, like, he puts loopy pass, or he can pick a kick from anywhere. So I think you have to trust your own system, and just, probably you can't cater for everything, like in specific detail, but you got to have belief in what you set up. You'll end up working it out. And look, we've got top class players ourselves, world class players ourselves, so they can read those pictures. And I think we've got players who have played with him, played against him a lot in England as well. So look, he's a super talented player, but I think, like, within our system, we believe that we'll be able to cater for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hi Steve. Just one from me. You had Stuart Hogg come back from a COVID isolation, but he hadn't had COVID. The South Africans have got players coming back from isolation. They've also got players coming back from COVID. You're obviously very well versed in how to bring a player back from injury, but how different is it when you're trying to manage a player through this kind of a thing? And how feasible it is that a number of South Africans, having been in isolation, could get back for a test match on Saturday?
Oh, look, I think there's probably things they've been doing, even if they've got COVID, then that's probably slightly different, and the medical and conditioning team will be that's different. Like, someone like Hoggy was fit and well, so like you can keep on top of conditioning. I think it's probably more a mental thing, just being in a room for long periods of time. So I think they're all different. Like obviously, if you've got COVID and you haven't done anything physically over a period of time, then I think that process is going to be longer, because you have to look after the well-being of the players as well. Coming off not doing a lot, coming straight into a test match is probably a massive ask. But someone like Hoggy, who's been doing his conditioning as well, not obviously on the field, but in separation. So I think there's so many different variables that to manage, right? Like you look at the South African medical team and conditioning team, I'm sure that they'll be doing their return to play, whether it be from COVID or those close contacts.
But where would Hogg have been doing his cardio work? In an isolated gym, or
Yeah, that'd be all taken care of with the S&C and the medics. It wouldn't have been with the team or anything. And again, it'll all be linked into how he was feeling and obviously the testing process.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you. Cheers, Lee.
Is that it, Tim?